Hi, this is Jay Dow. I want to welcome you to the Sober Music Company podcast. I started this podcast to celebrate and spotlight the incredible people in my life, where we sit down and chop it up about their failures, their successes, and what they've learned so far in this journey of life. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for sharing the podcast. I really appreciate your support. You can take drinks and shit. It's not that. It's not that.
This is a good thing that I put the catheter in. I hope that makes the cut. All right.
Yeah.
It's funny because I know I'm being recorded, right? So it's like when I'm just talking with you or a bunch of the guys, you know, I just say whatever. I have no filter whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I know I'm being recorded, remember when we at Salvation Army, you're like, hey. Can you speak for me at Salvation Army?
Yeah.
The only thing is, you can't cuss.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dude.
I know.
Okay, we'll try this out.
Yeah.
And then I only swore one time. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's
But the whole time I was thinking about it.
Yeah, that's.
And you were gonna send it to the dudes on the yard, so.
Yes.
So like I wanted to cuss.
Yeah.
I wanted to call them bitches and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jack owed me money when I left.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Salvation Army, is they don't play with that cussing down there.
Yeah.
I had, I don't know, one of our friends speak down there, and he was cussing. Like, they're like, hey, you know, like, they'll, like, shut the meeting down. Like, you guys gotta go. You know?
Well, I did a speaker deal one time at Crossroads West. Mostly like them old crusty alcohol AA motherfuckers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they told me in the beginning to keep it alcohol and keep it clean, no swearing. Yeah. And then so I started calling it vein beer the whole time. I was addicted to vein beer. Yeah. And then I kept it to a minimal, I thought, the swearing, and then I said like shit or something one time, and this lady's like up in the front row and just totally fucked up my flow.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm like, really? Go sit in the corner.
I never heard vein beer until you.
Well, I had seen it on me, so I stole it.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing I say original, Jay.
Yeah, me neither.
No,
I mean,
everything I say is a repeat of something else.
Me too.
So when I made my experience, the experience of the guys before me, and that's all it really is. So so what I say is true. Mm-hmm. What I say is real.
Yeah.
Right. It's just what they were saying to me in the beginning. My experience started lining up with that.
Yes.
All the cliches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let go, let God.
Yeah.
What did touch?
Yeah.
You know, all that shit. You know.
It's so true.
Principles before personalities.
Yeah.
I don't know what that meant.
Oh, I had no idea what the fuck that meant.
But I'd say it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's like you just, it's just a shift, right? It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
You just, sometimes we had this thing one time when I was at Crossroads Flower, that meeting I do.
Yeah.
And this one guy shared, he said, you know, sometimes you just got to fake it till you make it, he said. Mm-hmm. And immediately the next two shares after him were like, they acted like they were offended because he said that. They're like, well, I can't fake anything. You know, this is real to me. This is serious to me. And I was losing control of this meeting, right? Like, I'm starting
it's
to
a rough bunch over there, bro.
I'm starting to panic a little bit.
It's a rough
I'm like,
bunch.
oh, shit. If these dudes start scrapping in the middle
yeah,
of this,
I know.
we're not going to...
Everyone's on fucking pretrial release.
Yeah, we're not going to have this meeting anymore.
Everyone's done time.
So I shared... And I told him, like, I know what both you guys are saying, both factions or whatever. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think fake it till you make it's taken out of context, right? So there's better ways you could put it. You could say, like, act as if, right? There was another one I just heard recently. But anyway, the point is, Oh, the one is, I can't think my way into good acting, but I can act my way into good thinking.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if I'm just doing what I'm told, whether I believe it or believe in it or any of that shit, the rest starts to follow and it starts to line up.
That's
like
true.
That's how you put your will with God's will. You
Yep.
just be willing to live in God's will.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just you know, A, B, and C spiritual principles, and if I can reach for those and try to do those and apply those in my day, then I'm living in God's will. It's really not that complicated.
It's really not, and I love I mean, recovery is a language, and we use the big book, and that's why, you know, like, I loved your pitch. So I went and saw you speak 2 days ago, Tuesday. You went and spoke over on the west side.
Yeah.
Ghetto ass fucking Crystal Meth Anonymous meeting, which are my favorite. You know what I mean?
I've never been there, and I live a half mile down the street.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I just love. Number one of all the fellowships: AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Crystal Meth Anonymous, Heroin Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous. Crystal Meth Anonymous is CMA is my favorite fellowship because CMA is just on fire for recovery. Yeah. And everyone's just tore up from the fucking floor up and just so welcoming. Identify however what you'll never hear in a fucking Crystal Meth Anonymous meeting is don't say that. Yeah. Don't cuss. Yeah. Don't fucking say alcohol. Don't. Yeah. Like, I love CMA, but your pitch the other night, I wish to God I wish I filmed it or recorded it because it was so powerful, dude, and I loved so many things that you said, but one of the things that we talked about after the meeting that you said in there, because there's a lot of newcomers in that meeting. Yeah, there was. Shitload. Yeah. And what you said is nobody gets here thinking this shit's gonna work. Yeah. Yep. Which is the way I got to recovery. For sure,
nobody comes here because you know everything's cool and everything's good in their life. You know, like nobody goes to a meeting for the first time because everything's fucking aces.
Right, you know, or just, like they say, we don't get here on a winning streak.
Yeah, not at all. And like, who really believed that this was going to work for them? Yeah. I don't think anybody that I know.
I damn sure didn't.
No, me neither. I appreciate you saying that about that thing. What happens is, and I thought it went pretty well.
It was amazing, bro.
But I still want everybody to like me, right? Mm-hmm. I still want to be.
Yeah, me too.
My ego wants to be recognized.
Yeah, me too.
For you know, oh, you're a good speaker and all that. And so what happens sometimes is I'm trying to be funny, and when I'm trying to be funny, it falls flat as shit. Right? Yeah. But if I just be myself and say the pitch and like really kind of get animated about it, then it comes off as funny.
Yeah, and it just flowed because I mean, you got into it. You got like about halfway into it and looked at your clock like, okay, well, I'm about done. And they're like, oh no, you know, you got a long ways to go, bro. Keep going. And like, it was just, you were hitting on all cylinders and all those, because you're hitting the people in the back and you're hitting me, and it was just a super powerful pitch. And getting sober in prison. You walk through that whole experience of being fucking strung out. I wouldn't say necessarily strung out, but like getting high in prison, and then
I was eventually strung out.
Yeah, and then getting sober in prison. And I also love what you talked about in your pitch. Is about I guess it's Jason's pitch about when Jason came back to that yard and owed all this fucking money and owed you money. Yeah. And how you did speak about it.
I said something.
Yeah, you did.
About it, yeah.
And about how, you know, he thought you were going to approach him to fucking give him a hot one because he owed you money, and you're like, no, dude, you can make that right by coming to a fucking AA meeting right now.
Dude, when he gave me these Western Union numbers, I knew they were fucking false.
When he was leaving the yard? Yeah.
Like, I knew.
Right.
I already knew. But I also knew when I gave him the money in the first place that I might not get that shit back anyway. Yeah. But he was my boy. You know? I love that dude. Yeah. And I would give him like a gram just to keep point. You know what I mean? Like, that's how much he was my boy. Yeah. And really, that's how we kind of met was, he knew I was on deck. I had some stuff coming in and shit, and he he's just like me and every other addict. We'll become best friends with whoever's about to hit.
Yeah, that's right.
But our friendship lasted, so it was cool.
Is that where you met him the first time at Florence prison?
Yeah. And then I just happened to get in recovery a little bit before him, because I lost my job, so I didn't have dope no more, right? And then I had a street habit. I was strung out.
Oh, you were strung, yeah.
Yeah. At that point, I just had never been strung out before in prison. I
yeah.
got high.
Yeah.
But I care too much about what people think about me.
Right, because in prison, for people that haven't been to prison or don't know, there's still a code of respect, and what you don't want to be is a fucking strung out junkie, a drug addict on the yard.
Unless you can whoop everybody, then it's okay.
Yeah.
Then it's cool.
You know, but like picking up cigarette butts and fucking acting like...
Well, dude, how was I going to judge? How was I going to be that person, become that person, and then still judge everybody else for it? And I liked judging motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That's what it was, really. Like, I wanted people to think I'm a solid white boy. I pay my bills. I work out every day. You know, and really, even after I got strung out, like anybody that was on the yard with me will tell you, like, my bills did get paid. But I started doing like a little bit of grimier shit to pay him. I did a lot of storing out from this dude to go pay this dude, and then the taxes are adding up. So you know, I would get a youngster I knew had some money and tell him I can get dope, and then I would take a bit of it and then fucking make him share the rest with me anyway. So, and I had judged those people for a long time. I'd just be like, those dudes are dirtbags, and then I started becoming a dirtbag, which was good, because that's kind of what was the catalyst for me getting in recovery.
How long were you on that prison yard before getting high, before you got sober? Or how much prison time had you done before you hit Florence?
I hit Florence East Unit this time down.
Oh, East first?
I've been in and out. This was my 4th time down. I'd been in prison 6 times because I'd violate parole the other times and go back to a yard. So I've been through Alhambra 6 times, but I started this last time at East Unit. And
Florence East?
Yeah, and then I was there for a little over a year, and then I went to North Unit at like the end of 16. And I was getting high at East Unit 2, and then I was getting high pretty tough for about a year, a little longer than a year at North Unit.
And then you got sober there?
Yeah.
And then how long were you sober before you got released?
Less than a year and a half.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I went to that prison yard with Joey Landon one day on fucking...
Yeah, I had just got out.
Yeah, you just gotten out, and I had met you on the outs, but I didn't... So when I went down there, Joey called me last minute. He's like, you want to go to Florence Prison? I'm speaking. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we go down there. Like, he gives me 2 hours to fucking get ready. We go down there, get caught up at the gate and all this, and we come into the meeting late, and Jason was hosting the fucking meeting and stuff. And
he was doing his comedy routine.
Yeah, it was the first time I met him.
Yeah.
And
that fits.
Yeah, it was great. It's hilarious. But I mean, just the electricity in that room. There's like 100 fucking inmates in there, just solid ass.
Crazy.
Like, I have chills right now just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so they asked me to get up and sing a song.
Yeah.
And so they gave me this fucking guitar, and I sang this song I wrote called Glass Pipe, and you could hear a fucking pin drop in there.
Yeah.
All the place I've been playing for 10 fucking years, that is the most powerful fucking performance I ever did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so whatever, it got, and so before I did the song, I said, I am sponsoring Maui, which is a friend of ours who
Ronnie,
you did time with.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sponsoring Maui. He's doing great. He says hi to everybody. Blah. I made that announcement, did the song. We get done. And, like, all these fucking inmates are running up to me like, do you know Lost? Do you know Lost? How's Lost? I'm like...
That made me feel good, too.
I don't know who Lost is. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I told you that back then?
Yeah, because you didn't know that I went by that.
No.
By Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I started going by Lost, doing graffiti in high school.
Yeah, tag.
And then it was just like a street name. So I'd go to prison, and like everybody would still know me as Lost. but when I got in recovery, it felt kind of weird, awkward, embarrassing maybe to introduce myself in the meetings. Hi, my name's Lost, I'm an addict. But I did do that for a while.
Oh yeah.
And the guys who brought the meetings in there was Pepe, John Shannon, and Bill.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
and they're OGs.
Yeah.
Older cats, and it just felt kind of embarrassing. So I started just saying, my name's Josh, I'm an addict, alcoholic addict.
Yeah.
And people would slowly start calling me Josh.
Yeah.
But then somebody would fucking come in from outside.
Yeah.
Come back to prison.
Uh-huh.
And start calling me Lost again. And then, it was probably 50-50 towards the end. Half the people would call me Lost and half would call me Josh.
And that's a whole, it's one thing to get fucking sober on the streets.
Yeah.
But getting sober in prison, there's all these different levels of fucking bullshit that you got to go through. I just had Jason on the show, and he was talking about getting sober and hiding his big book, walking to meetings.
Yeah.
And
at the speaker.
Oh, that's you were talking about that. That was you.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
And your sponsor's like, no, dude, walk everywhere with that book.
Yeah, it's just you're ashamed to save your life.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah. Kind of, a little bit.
but that's the whole thing. Getting sober in prison, it's not just because there's drugs and alcohol everywhere in fucking prison.
Yeah.
It's the whole his people are going by New York and his name's fucking Vegas and fucking Smalls or whatever nicknames everyone's got.
Yeah.
And you're literally shedding a whole fucking skin of all this different don't want to be judged.
Yeah, of ego and character that. It's unlearning shit, right?
Yes.
Recovery's not learning shit, it's unlearning shit.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, the dynamic on that yard, I don't know if I could have got sober out here. I really don't know. And
what, because of the accountability factor? Or
dude, there was just a bunch of factors, and I just don't know. Well, my reservation was that if I fucking worked a program, then it was going to make getting high suck. I was going to ruin it. I was going to ruin getting high for myself by working a program, and then I was going to have people helping me and putting some time and effort into me, and then I was just going to disappoint them anyway. Right? So I was resistant to do the whole thing anyway.
Reservations.
And that was one factor, and then and obviously the pride and ego factor, the dudes who would go to meetings in most other places were kind of looked at as lame.
Right,
They just were.
Yeah.
And the dynamic of this yard, I've been to a bunch of different yards. I've done about a decade in the joint, and I had never seen it like it was there anywhere else.
I know. Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just
the recovery on that
people,
yard.
places, timing. I mean, you could say it's just God had everything to do with it, or the universe had something to do with it. That many people were at that gift of desperation point at the same time, because there was only 6 or 7 dudes that went to meetings when I started, right? And there was a couple heavy hitters that they had recovery and they were swolled up. Some of them were slung down, all tattooed up, worked out constantly, heavy, real workouts, upper echelon working out motherfuckers. And ran big ass stores, and were sober and happy and proud to be sober. But there wasn't a lot of them. There wasn't a lot of dudes who could sponsor. So when me and Adam Tronier first got into recovery, that's what it was. That's where we're at.
Just barely kicking off.
And then Jason's first sponsor, Matty, he lived on Yard 2. He was in recovery. And he's a sick-ass tattoo artist. You know what I mean? All slung down. You knew that motherfucker was a convict. He didn't look like a lame. And then my first sponsor, Jack, he didn't look like a lame. Brian Houlihan. And all these dudes are some of the smartest dudes I know, still to this day, and they're convicts. They were the real deal. They'll sock you in your mouth just as soon as fucking give you a soup if that's where it's going. If that's what it's going to be. they're not to say they're like vicious or anything or trying to fight people, because they're not. You know, they do try to live by these principles. They have discovered that manner of living at that point. But one of the things that helped me get in was Maui. There was this dude that lived across from him, and I needed $40, and it was store day, right? Really, I needed $30 to pay Jack, to pay my first sponsor, but this was before he was my sponsor. But I wanted 40 so I could also buy a dime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went up to this dude, and I'm like, almost started kind of like crying. I'm like, dude, man, I need fucking $40, dude. I fucking need it. I don't know when I'm going to be able to pay you back or how I'm going to pay you back, but I'll pay you back, I promise. And it almost was like I was going to cry, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, dude, don't trip, man. You know, I got you. And I'm like, okay, well, before the yard closes, because I don't feel well. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fucking sick. You know, but I didn't tell him that. So I was over there, and I heard some commotion across the aisle on the other side of the hut, and it was Maui flashing on somebody, right? And it's probably not his proudest moment. I don't even know if he would want me mention it, but he's not doing this podcast right now. I am, so you know. But he, I thought to myself, well, that dude don't seem like a lame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
because he was sober.
So what's crazy is him acting out in some character defect is what attracted me to the fucking program.
Oh yeah, wow.
Right, and this is the trip about recovery. And I don't usually talk about this to newcomers or to people that I don't know really well.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of character defects that kept me fucking sober that first 90 days of white knuckling it. Being judgmental was one of them.
Yeah.
Talking shit to people and calling them dirtbags because they were getting high was another one.
Oh yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
Really, it was me.
Yeah.
I'm the dirtbag. Right. I'm projecting that shit.
But I'm 90 days sober and think
less than.
Yeah.
But if I can cause some kind of people feeling a certain type of way towards me in that moment, then I'm way less likely to go ask them to get me high later.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If I call you a piece of shit because you're getting high, I'm more than likely not going to come back later when I'm in those real weak moments when I was jonesing.
Hook me up.
And I had a dude in my run that I wanted to put hands on him for a minute, and I told my sponsor, Jack, and he's like, dude, just lay back and it'll resolve itself. You'll see. But he'd have these a bunch of tweakers in all day long, hanging out, and there were other dudes in my
getting high.
Getting high. There were other dudes in my run, all different races who were starting to get fed up with it too. But the dude was white, so I thought I take it in my head that it's my responsibility to shut it down, right?
Yeah.
But I know that I'm definitely not going to be able to shut it down in a spiritual manner.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would just call him a piece of shit and like, dude, quit bringing these piece of shit motherfuckers in here, right?
Yeah.
And my pride wasn't going to let me go ask him for dope later.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
I ended up living in character defect.
That's heavy,
but in a way, it saved my life at the time. And being judgmental.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of a weird paradox.
It is. I've never heard that before. That's fucking heavy.
Yeah, and then like admiring a dude who's popping off on someone else, that was like, okay, well maybe fucking this AA thing ain't that lame.
Yeah.
It's character defect.
Yeah, that's wild.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but you said that we're just not. You don't want this podcast just to be like, pure 100% recovery, right?
No,
like we talk about recovery,
and I'm at normies on and all that,
and it's our life. But I don't know if I would share that on another podcast that was about recovery, right? Because I don't want to give newcomers the wrong impression. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean,
here.
But I mean, you're talking about prison, and that's a whole different fucking. That's just a whole different society. It's a whole different. And if you haven't been there, you don't know. And the thing about my life is so bizarre because My mom was a sergeant in DOC.
Oh yeah, I remember
You know what I
told
mean?
me, yeah.
Like, I grew up with, of all my friends, I started getting highs in 6th grade,
Yeah.
smoking weed
Yeah.
and drinking.
Yeah.
And of all my, I always ran around with a bad crew in grade school, high school, and of all my friends, I was the only dude that wouldn't go home drunk or high.
Yeah,
Because my mom was a prison guard.
Yeah.
And all of her friends, she was on the SWAT team.
She put your ass in a boot camp or scared straight.
I didn't do that. And
Yeah.
so I kind of solved that by never going home as a kid.
Yeah.
Staying over here, staying at my friend's house.
That's an option.
Yeah, but I did that. But you know, like, I was so petrified of prison.
Yeah.
Because I heard all of my mom, all of her cop buddies, all the stories, the cleaning up of blood, the killings, you know, and then my, I get sober, and now I got all these, like, sober prison dudes in my life, all my friends, right?
Yeah.
But it's just been an interesting journey with me in prison and performing in prisons and this whole thing. But the thing about the most respected people in recovery are the people who get sober in prison. I mean, the most powerful messages that I hear in recovery are from the people who get sober in prison, because it's the accountability. I've been taking meetings into prisons for years.
Yeah.
AA meetings. I've taken them to Lewis Prison. I've taken them to Florence, East, Florence West. I'm badged.
Yeah.
And I see people in prison. A Tuesday night stag.
Yeah.
Mike's back. Like, I met him at Florence West. Been taking meetings in there for 2 years or whatever with Joey Landon.
Yeah.
Like, I met him in prison. He got out, fucking relapsed. He's sober 7 days, sitting right beside me. You know, but going into the prisons, the fucking meetings in any AA meeting I've ever been in, taking him into the prisons, it's no fucking joke. And I know a lot of people go to AA in prisons, like, to do business and grimy shit. I hear about all the time, but not the meetings that I've been to.
Yeah, but I think it's a relatively new thing. Like, there are a lot of people that were in prison, that got recovery in prison and got out, that were not on my yard, right? Ron Alessi got his.
Solid ass recovery. And
there's a handful of other dudes, but I still think it was a relatively new thing. And the dynamic on my yard, like I was saying, dude, that is unprecedented. There was never that before. I'd never seen that before. I never heard of that before. By the time I left, dude, there were 40 plus people at every meeting.
Yeah.
And dudes were sponsoring 7, 8, 9 dudes at a time.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it gives me chills when you say that.
And it was like you could go to a meeting and 30 out of the 40 dudes could sponsor you. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But that was not the norm anywhere else I'd ever been, and I'd never even heard of that anywhere else. But that being said, well, I mean, you have all that time to focus on your recovery, right? Mm-hmm. You have your little routine, you work out, you have your little 50-cent an hour job, but the rest of the time, if you want to, if you choose to, if you're willing to, then you could focus on your recovery. Plus the accountability factor, right? Like, you're making these friends in recovery. The last time I relapsed in prison was I got a little bit of Suboxone, right? And I kept that shit in my sock all day long. I'm not the type of junkie that can usually hold the dope and not do it. You know what I mean? Like,
all day.
Yeah. Because I knew if I took it, people would know I was high.
Yeah.
Right? Because now all my friends were in recovery. And I mentioned this at the spot Tuesday, but so I did do it. Yeah. But it wasn't as fun as it had been prior.
How long were you sober at that point?
It was less than 60 days.
Oh, yeah. And the first time you'd ever been sober, like 60 days in prison?
Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Or maybe county jails.
Yeah, your sponsor and shit.
First time I've been sober on purpose.
Yeah, I got you.
Know what I mean? And so I took it, and the next day I'm like, why the fuck did I do that?
Yeah, just
shit?
the guilt, shame, remorse. I know. Fuck.
And we'd have once a month we'd have a chip meeting. It was on a Saturday meeting. John, Pepe, and Bill would bring it in, and I had fully intended at that point to get that fucking chip anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I was like,
60-day chip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it was eating me. And probably if the meeting would have been the next day or even 2 days later, I probably would have fucking got it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there was a week in between.
Yeah, you had to sit on it.
I had to sit on it, dude. Right? And I see my sponsor and Brian.
And you're going to meetings and seeing all your sober buddies.
Yeah. Fucking God is good.
Yeah.
Like, grateful sober addict today.
The promise is coming true.
Yeah. Straight up, dude. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
But my sponsor and Brian are walking the track, and I'm like fucking eyeing them out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, these motherfuckers probably know. They probably know I was high. So.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way they could have, because I waited till lockdown. Nobody had seen me after I took the,
Yeah.
But I felt fraudulent, dude.
Yes.
I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And it's been drilled into my head up to this point: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. You know, indispensable.
Yeah.
Indispensable,
Yes.
motherfucker. Without it, you're fucked.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You better learn to
100%.
practice some of this shit.
Yeah.
So I let him walk twice. That third time, I'm trying to jazz myself up. I'm gonna fucking tell him.
Yeah.
Tell his ass.
You tell them how it
do a quick
is.
set of push-ups. And then I took my CL20s off and I go, hey man, I can't get that 60-day chip this Saturday. Boom, put them back on, went back to what I was doing. Right? And then I feel
Deuces.
Dude, I go back to do another set of push-ups and I just feel his shadow fucking hovering over. He's a big ass dude.
Oh yeah.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
He's like, what'd you say? I can't get the 60-day chip this Saturday.
Oh man.
He's like, why not?
Yeah.
I fucking took some Suboxone the other day.
Oh man.
And he's like, all right, we'll talk about it later. So I go later on and we sit down to talk about it. And he's like, dude, I don't know if maybe I'm doing you justice. Maybe someone else might work better for you. I don't know if I'm as effective for you as I should be.
As a sponsor.
Yeah. Dude, my heart dropped. I'm like,
yeah.
And I had this moment of panic that if this dude dropped me, there's no way I'm getting another sponsor and I'm fucked. Right? But I had a head full of enough AA at this point to just be humble, really. Like, dude, I promise. Like, for real, I'm done.
Don't fire me.
Yeah, don't fucking fire me.
Yeah.
And it's funny when people say that because it's like you can't fire someone you fucking don't pay. But
yeah, my sponsor's like they fire themselves.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep, you fucking resigned, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But he said, all right, well, we'll give it another shot, and I got just extra busy after that. I started taking it more seriously. I started really being able to define what powerless meant to me, right, and what it was, and how I was powerless, how that shit had manifested in my life up to that point. Because like I said before, like everybody knows that their lives are unmanageable. But what does powerless really mean to you?
Yeah, I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Because if you say I'm powerless but, or I'm powerless except, then that's not that's not a universal truth then.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Powerless is just one thing.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that was gave me the momentum I needed at that point. And then just people started trickling into the rooms, and I got to a point where I could sponsor people and started sponsoring right away. Nobody wants to sponsor either, right? Like at first.
Nuh-uh. I damn sure did. But my sponsor threatened to fire. I started sponsoring 6 months because my sponsor threatened to fire me if I didn't.
Dude, and that's not a bad tactic, right?
No, and I didn't want to lose him. He saved my fucking life.
Yeah, dude.
But if he wouldn't have called me out on the carpet, what he said to me is...
Who was it?
Type C.
Okay.
Type
It wasn't
C.
Grady at the time.
No.
Okay.
When I got sober, Grady's the one that told me, like, I called Grady. I kind of had 3 sponsors when I got sober, but Grady been sponsoring me for 5 years.
Yeah.
And 2 other guys are kind of coming and going, but but Grady got me through my stepmother's death and all that. But his buddy Ty C was coming to visit me in rehab, and I hated this guy. Like he'd been, because he always told me the truth.
Yeah.
He'd say shit like "stop using your mom," and
yeah.
But he was showing up at rehab for me, and but so when I was 6 months sober, and then so when I got out of rehab and moved into Crossroads, I was 6 months sober before I moved out of Crossroads. But this dude would come every day and see me, and he'd take me in his car, and he was the only friend I had, and I hated this guy for 5 fucking years. I hated him, but then he's like buying me fucking cigarettes, and I mean, again, we're not nurses and we're not fucking stores for sponsees, but anyways, this guy...
He was showing that he gave a fuck,
right,
some degree.
And I was 6 months sober, and I'd never had 6 months of sobriety in my life. It's the first time ever.
Yeah.
And so when I saw him at 6 months, I just moved out of Crossroads, and he's like, how many sponsees do you have? And I go, well, dude, it's 2.5 hours on the bus to work, 9-hour phone job, 2 hours home. I'm not sponsoring anybody. I don't even have time to go to fucking meetings, bro.
Yeah.
And he looked me in the face, and he's like, if you're going to run around this program and call me your sponsor, you're going to sponsor men. Get a fucking sponsee, J-Dow, or get a different fucking sponsor.
That's the way to do it, really. Right?
That's all and fucking gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So I got a fucking sponsee at 6 months sober.
That's the way to do it. I've never heard of it. I've heard of things similar, people approaching their sponsees similar, but that's not how I've really done it. I try to coddle them into sponsoring, like, dude, well, you really should, like, you can't keep what you have if you don't give it away. Like, it's okay. Sponsor. But I think that's the better approach.
Yeah, it's a good one, but it doesn't work on everybody, and it's
you have to be flexible with different sponsees.
Yeah, my current sponsor, who I've had for 6 years, had taught me about being flexible.
Yeah.
But it's also an interesting thing. Well, before I move on to that, I want to ask, like, why or how did you start sponsoring? Your sponsor's like, fucking, this is what we do?
My sponsor, he's one of those dudes who he won't, like, really raise his voice at you or even be really aggressive, but he will hound you in his own subtle way. He'll beat you down with reason, really.
Yeah, right.
Like, because I thought I was a master rationalizer and manipulator and fucking justifier. So the reasons sound good in my head, but then he just takes them and just runs circles around them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Right? He's smart. And he's like, and I'm like, well, dude, same thing. I don't really have time, I won't be able to
I don't want to
work
fuck
that.
somebody up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
A lot of people use that one.
Right.
And he's like, I'm not done with the steps yet. And he's like, dude, you can take them through, you're on step 10. You can take them through 1 through to 10.
Yeah,
and by the time you get them that far, you'll be done with 12. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Sure.
But yeah, he just, maybe guilt tripped me a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
He said, like, dude, like, how your life got saved. You need to show somebody else how to save their life. Because it's not like me, as a person that sponsors people, I'm not saving really your life. I'm teaching you how to save your own.
Right.
And I'm just showing you exactly how I was able to save mine.
Yeah.
And basically by letting, higher power save it. Really.
Yes.
But it's just a weird thing to have, to get people to wrap their minds around if they haven't experienced it. How do you fucking understand something you haven't experienced?
I know.
You know what I mean?
And it's...
So that's the job, and that's the chore in recovery, is how can I be more effective explaining this shit to you?
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're absolutely right. You have to be flexible with different sponsees, because
it's a different approach.
People get super resistant to one thing.
Yeah.
And then like respond well to another thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's I've never done prison time, right? I've been to jail 5 times, but
it's the same thing, dude.
But I've never been to prison. That's another thing I love about recovery, because there's so many fucking people in recovery where we're at who have done prison time and crossroads facilities and all this shit. And it's like, it's funny, like, being in a fucking meeting where, like, 85% of the room has done time, and you come in, or I come in, and I go like, well, I haven't been to prison, but I've been to jail 5 times. Accept me,
dude.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
here's my thing, and it was always all right. The first time I went to juvenile Durango, and I get back out on the streets with my chest puffed out, like been to jail, motherfuckers.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I'm 15 years old or whatever.
Yeah,
14.
Yeah, I think it was
12.
It was the summer between 8th and 9th grade.
Oh yeah.
So however old I was then.
Yeah, like
Right?
12,
So
13.
then I got put on intense probation, continued to get high, continued to drink, continued to steal cars and be rifling through people's shit, lurping through the alleys, looking over walls for a bike, that type of shit. And, so then I went to the next step up, to Adobe.
Yeah.
And scared going in, for sure.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah.
as soon as I get out, I get through it and I get out, chest puffed out a little further. Right?
Yeah, just got out of Adobe.
Everybody I know in the neighborhood, I grew up in Maryville, everybody I know is fucking has a brother or a dad or a mom or sister that's been to prison.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the standard. You know what I mean? Like, and I grew up listening to, gangster rap.
Yeah.
Like Too Short and Scarface and Goody Mob and Wu-Tang Clan and all these things, all these rappers, and it's just the culture, I guess. Right? I lived in the hood.
Yeah.
My goal from a young age was to try every drug that there is. Right? And maybe I can afford a gold chain at some point. Probably I'll steal it. But, that type of shit. And so then I go to prison the first time. I've been in and out of jail for a minute, right? And just going through jail, I come back out on the streets. I'm a little tougher. I'm a little harder. Right? Then I go to prison, and I chose to go to prison. Like I was telling you and Sandy earlier, they kept putting me on probation and reinstating, and I kept going to jail and being dope sick in jail. And I got tired of it and was like, fuck it, if I just go do a year and a half or a year or whatever, then
prison.
Yeah,
and
prison.
get off probation.
But I was still, anxious over it, if not a little scared. I've
never
going
been
to prison.
There.
Yeah, it's new, right? But I knew, I was pretty sure I'd be all right. All these dudes I knew I was growing up with told me, dude, you'll be fine. Just do what you do, man. You'll be good. But at the same time, then they're telling me the horror stories too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because they still have a character to maintain, or they still have a reputation to maintain. If they tell you that prison's soft and fucking nothing ever happens there, then you're not going to be like, oh, this motherfucker's.
Yeah, he's not the badass I thought he was, or whatever. Yeah.
So and that's me too.
Yeah.
Like so then I get out and I've been to prison, all right, and a year, but fuck, hard time, dude.
Yeah.
Hard time, soft, minimum 2-yard camp. You know what I mean? Medium yard, better than the people on the minimum yards. Harder than the people in county, harder than people in the minimum, Then I make it to a max yard, harder than the people on medium, harder than the people on minimum, harder than the people in jail. Right. But that's not even true anyway. There's soft people everywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes, if they don't get high or mouth off to anybody, they could be the weakest dude on the planet, and they can make it there.
Yeah, in
they
prison.
can make it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Really, I think it's more about some semblance of intelligence or common sense. Maybe not so much intelligence, but common sense. Dude, anybody can make it there, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, but I build my ego and my character around these things because I need to believe I'm tough. Right? I need to believe that.
Right.
So anything I can use to not only bolster my own ego, but to project it out so people think that. And then the more people that think it, the more I believe it.
Yeah, actor scenario.
Dude, you have to unlearn all that shit.
Oh my God, I know. And who am I without my identity? You know, like that's the fucking...
Well, that's all ego really is.
Yeah.
It's self-identity.
It is.
How do I relate to reality and life?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That's but and ego has a negative connotation in recovery because we've built it negatively. We've built our ego in a negative manner, right? And we've bought into the delusion, and we believe that shit, and we need to diffuse that and fucking detach from those parts of our egos.
Yeah, and character
right?
defects.
So it should have a negative connotation, especially at first in early recovery, right? Because we're just barely learning how to recognize it anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to find out, okay, how does my ego manifest itself? And really, ego manifests from fear.
Right.
Right?
Always.
And I rationalize and justify everything to still believe in this ego. And dope and alcohol makes it easier.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all it really is.
Yeah, I mean, it solves a fear problem.
It suppresses fear.
Right.
Yeah, that's all it really.
I like how Joe McDonald says, alcohol and drugs wasn't my problem; it was the solution to my problems.
Yeah,
you know,
and it was a good solution at first.
Oh yeah, it was a great solution.
Yeah,
Always worked.
Yeah,
you know, until it didn't work.
Yeah,
until now I'm loaded and still in fucking fear.
In fear,
and then we got real problems.
Because the consequences have gotten so bad that the fears have built up.
Yeah, there ain't no
unmanageably.
Yeah, unless I'm completely in oblivion. If I got a shred of consciousness loaded, I'm consumed with fear because all these consequences are raining down upon me.
Yeah,
it's And so, like, I wanted to go back to sponsoring. How do you remember how in prison how long you were sober when you got your first sponsee and your first sponsee?
It was before a year, so I would say right around eight or 9 months. Right?
Sober,
and I did put it off as long as I could.
Yeah.
And everybody would tell me, dude, you're ready. Fucking quit it.
I know, but we don't know what the fuck to do. It's like, I don't know. I'm sober, but how the fuck did I get here?
Dude,
I mean, we did a 4-step.
Exactly.
You know, and in prison, you're not really making amends.
Not really.
You know, until you. I mean,
it was funny
maybe.
because we would be trying to make those spot amends, right? To practice. And we would like practice for when we got out.
Oh, yeah, role play. Dude, I always role play with my sponsees.
Me and my friend Ronnie Allen, you know, God rest his soul, he passed away from the disease, but we went and made an amends to Lieutenant Randolph, who was like he was that cop on the yard. Like you didn't get away with shit.
Oh yeah.
But he was always consistent. You know, he wasn't like a bitch one day and then fucking, you know, all nice the next day.
Yeah.
You know, like he was consistent. He was the dude that you avoided on the yard.
He just didn't play.
You go the long way.
Yeah.
He didn't play. And he probably had. I'm not going to say nothing super that he could sue me over later, but he looked like he was in the bodybuilder culture for a while.
Oh yeah,
you know, maybe a little bit of supplements.
Yeah.
He looked like he had a military haircut, like the Marine haircut, and he was just a dick, dude.
Yeah.
But me and Ronnie owed him an amends.
Wow.
And really, he probably didn't know why I owed him amends, but mostly because I'd smut him up everywhere I go. I'd always talk shit about him.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'd make sure that everybody on the yard was aware of how I felt about that dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Character assassination.
Character assassination. And me and Ronnie went to make the amends on the buddy system.
Yeah.
Because in prison, you're really technically you're not supposed to talk to a cop alone anyway. It happens all the time now, but that's how I was taught.
Yeah. So people don't think you're snitching or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, I didn't want to go fucking making amends with this dude by myself.
Anyways, right?
Yeah. So we like, you know, we jazzed each other up and we went and made it, and he's like.
You both made amends to him, or just you?
Both of us at the same time. We both went in his office, sat down and everything, and he's like...
And what about, like, talking shit about him, or...?
Well, I just told him I've been disrespectful, and, you know, and I been trying to get away with shit for, you know, my whole prison career, basically, but, you know, and I'm disrespectful, and you don't deserve that shit. I wanted to tell you that I owe you... Wow. But I broke it down, too, that... you know, we're working a program, 12-step recovery, and part of that, dude, again, was probably like, look at me.
Yeah, right.
I want you to validate how good I am. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Exactly. I'm guilty too.
All right.
That's why I start chairing meetings. So everyone can see me up front.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yep. That's why when you said, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast?" I'm like, dude.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go get a haircut.
Fuck work.
I'm gonna go get a haircut. Yeah, fuck work.
That job will fix itself.
How many countries did you say this will be seen? You know what I mean? Like, I want Australian motherfuckers to know I'm in recovery. You know? And but he was very receptive, dude. He's like, well, thank you, gentlemen. keep doing what you're doing. Carry on.
Yeah.
And we left there like feeling good.
Yeah, it's powerful making
You know what I mean?
amends.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah.
Especially people you fucked over super hardcore.
Well, and those good ones came later. You know, my parents and every person's situation is pretty much the same. The people who really love you, they need to see it.
Yes,
right?
they
because
do.
You can't fucking just tell them. Because those are the people we've told over and over
Years,
we're sorry.
Right.
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. They don't want to hear another fucking sorry. Like,
dude,
too busy watching what I'm doing, ain't hearing a word I'm saying.
Right. And fortunately, my letters started changing.
Oh, yeah.
And so they started seeing it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know to what degree they'd started seeing it yet. I hoped, you know, like...
And the big book says the others will see it before we see it in ourselves, the change.
Yeah. And spiritual experience, dependence in the back. So they were already seeing it just through the letters.
Yeah.
But I still wasn't sure because, like, I know that they love me and they want to have hope in me, but I felt like they probably didn't trust me still because I had to show it, right? So I paroled to a sober living instead of to their house, to my parents' house.
Wow.
And I did that because I wanted to make it on my own.
Did you go to Sanctuary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it was just sober living.
They
had, you know, the
treatment and all that.
Yeah. And B, I just didn't want to create any anxiety in them. Because they're gonna have hope. They're like, I love him, and I hope I'll give him a chance. But in the back of their mind, you know, my dad still remembers me with this morphine bottle like this.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel good.
Yeah.
My toe hurts.
Yeah. And it's his meds.
Dude,
Yeah.
My stepmom, I'd be so fucking bopped out that I'd go to steal some Klonopin out of her purse, and I'd pour them all over the place. And I think I got them all back in the bottle and but they'd be at the bottom of her purse and a couple on the floor over here. Yeah, dude, she walked in on me one time. I did a shot on my bed and didn't clean up because I fucking nodded out.
Blood and
She came in and saw me like that.
Yeah.
In the bathroom at home, in the hall bathroom, there's cigarette burns on the fucking carpet.
Yeah.
From sitting on the toilet and fucking nodding out with a cigarette. You know?
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
Everybody knows all the time.
They do.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
We think we're slick. We're not slick.
Yeah, especially when it's just the wheels have completely come off.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're just...
Yeah. Dude, and I would go into stores to boost thinking that fucking nobody knows.
Yeah.
In my head, it's like, well, if I act like I'm not doing nothing wrong and I belong here, then everyone else will think. Probably the only reason I didn't get caught more, and I did get caught, is because I leave my backpack outside. I mean, at least I had the wherewithal to do that shit. Yeah, my dad would tell me, Joshua, you are not a good thief. And I'd be like, well, I mean, if you really want to, you know, iron out the averages.
Let's debate. Let's debate my thievery.
I've been caught, 15 times, but if I've stolen 1,000 times,
it's a pretty good
only
average.
been get caught 15 times.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Look at Barry Bonds don't have that good of batting average. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, we kind of got off track. I started sponsoring dudes. I had this idea that I was going to save people at first. Right?
Yeah, me too.
Like I still
I think
did.
we all do.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I didn't fully believe when my sponsor would tell me and when other sponsors would tell other dudes that you're helping me more than I'm helping you.
Yeah.
I had to discover that for myself.
Me too.
It's a truth. I would get butthurt if fucking people relapsed after I started sponsoring
Me too,
them.
or fucking lie to me, which I gotta doing it right now.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's a learning process, sponsoring.
It's a trip.
It is, like, if I was dumb enough to call I have a sponsee right now who's been in detox since Saturday at Crossroads. He's 6 months sober.
Well, they got a detox now, right?
Yeah, 16 beds at corporate.
Yeah.
And so I have another sponsee, Lee Hubbard.
Yeah.
I called him Saturday. I'm like, you working? Yeah. Can you get a fucking guy in? He's like, whatever, you got him in. and so my sponsee is sober 6 months. He's in IOP, just moved out of IOP, graduated, sober living, fucking, got drunk, calls me, I drank, slipped last night, right?
Yeah.
Gets into detox, Lee's fucking leaning on him, the guy gets on, come to find out he's been drinking for 3 months.
Yeah.
Lying to me the whole time. Yeah. I'm driving to Scottsdale, sign his fucking card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I was dumb enough to call my sponsor right now and go, this motherfucker's just wasted 6 months of my time.
Yeah, me too.
I'm driving, and like my sponsor would be like, hold up, J Dow.
Yep.
You relapsed for 5 fucking years lying to me and every other guy that sponsored you.
For real.
Half of Phoenix, Arizona sponsored you, J Dow.
Yeah.
And one time a sponsor did, he said, stop judging. I can't help you if I'm judging you.
Yeah.
And that same sponsor that threatened to fire me if I didn't sponsor also told me, oh fuck, I can't remember what I was gonna say, but it happens.
Yeah. I'd get offended. Fucking, I'd get butthurt. And it's like, dude, you never lied to your sponsor?
I know, or everybody.
I just told the story about when I lied to him.
Yeah,
I told the story.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, I don't know.
What my sponsor said is, if I was dumb enough to call him right now, he would say, oh, he's just reminding you of what you were like before you got sober.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, and that's the thing I love about recovery and sponsorship, and like even you, having that bond with a sober drug addict in prison, there was enough, he had shown you enough care and concern that you got honest over your relapse with him.
Yeah.
And that's what sponsorship's so fucking, like, I don't know how, there's no way in hell I could have ever gotten sober without a sober drug addict.
Yeah.
Giving their free time, giving their concern to me, get me through a 4th step, 5th step, taking those secrets, carrying my secrets for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bonding as fuck, man. Like, and there's just something that happens. I mean, alcoholics and drug addicts were liars, master manipulators, actors, double life, all me, and all this shit. But there's something that happens when a sober drug addict comes in with a fucked up drug addict and keeps it honest and keeps it real, and it doesn't always work. But when this guy's ready, it always fucking works.
Yeah, that's right. When
always fucking works.
Sure.
There ain't nothing you can do to fuck that up.
And who am I to determine if someone's ready or not?
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
Same
here.
Who am I to determine? Even if they fucking relapse again and again and they're lying constantly, dude, like, I'm still supposed, what is the AA, or the, the hand,
and at any time, anywhere, I want the hand of AA to be there.
Yeah. What's that called again? The AA?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's.
The hand to be there preamble.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
We'll make it up.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But, dude, like, but then there's a thing too, like sometimes you gotta be willing to step over the body so you can give your time to the person that is ready.
It's true.
Right?
Absolutely, man.
But I still have the responsibility to not make this dude jaded.
Right.
Right? So he won't ever come back.
Yeah.
And that's part of the thing where I'll get a little irritated at some old timers in a couple of all the fellowships, really, for the most part. They'll have 10, 15, 20 years, and they'll be barking at someone because they use the wrong language. Right.
Or say drug addict in an AA meeting,
or say sober instead of clean.
Yeah, and
it's like, dude, really?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, let's get motherfuckers sober before we start.
Dude, and it's funny because I'm really not from a fellowship. Not really. My fellowship is my boys that I was on the yard with. I consider you a part of my fellowship. Adam Jernroth, Tronier, fucking Jason.
The crew. Yeah.
Dude, it's and they're all from different walks of life, but they all have developed this manner of living.
Yeah.
Right? So they say what, that you're the product of the 5 people you hang around the
Yes.
most.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny because my girl's in NA. Rachel is in NA, and I would defend AA to the NA people, and I would defend the NA people to the AA people.
Yeah.
So whoever and that's ego too.
Yeah.
It's like, really, who gives a fuck, dude? But I'll throw contempt prior to investigation, huh? I'll throw that at their asses, you know what I mean? And stuff like that, because, dude, to me, it's just all the same thing.
It is.
It's the same disease.
Yeah.
Same fucking solution.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
And if you're living in that solution and you've developed that manner of living, then your whole responsibility is to just show these motherfuckers some love and tolerance, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's our code. Love and tolerance of others.
That's it.
I'm not a doormat, but...
Yeah.
But that, again, like, that's why I love... I mean, you're a dear friend of mine, and we run around with a bunch of same guys that you fucking did prison time with all these guys, but we have solid-ass recovery. Mm-hmm. And I have friends across the country who have solid-ass recovery. Yeah. And that's why I love recovery, because we're the grimiest fucking people on planet in addiction. Yeah. We all come from the same gutter. Yeah. But in recovery, like, we use discretion and we don't talk shit. And if we do kind of talk shit, it's not really talking shit. It's more of a concern of, like, we have a friend over here who's maybe not loaded yet, but sideways as fuck. Yeah. Let's talk about that in a loving way. Yeah.
But we're not doormats. You're absolutely right. And
no.
And you do have to have strong boundaries.
With unhealthy people.
Because if somebody is fucking bringing toxicity to your paradigm. Yes. Then maybe they don't belong there right now.
Right now.
But like, I'll try to push them away in a somewhat loving manner. Like, check it out.
Yeah, right.
I'm still over here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too about sponsoring. And I sponsor a fucking shitload of relapsers. Yeah. Because I relapsed for 5 years. Yeah. And so I'm just paying that back for everybody that. Right. Crossroads let me in for 5 years, and like my sponsor using detox, like he's being the manipulative drug addict that he is let my other sponsee know that so he can let me know. Yeah. And he's gonna come out, and we're gonna have an honest conversation. I'm just gonna say, if you want to run this again, this fucking time, right? Don't fucking lie to me. If I catch you lying to me, I'm gonna fucking cut you loose.
Yeah, and this is what it is I fucking want you to make it badly. I do. Mm-hmm. I want you to make it, but I can't want it more than you. No. And if I do want it more than you, then I need to fucking re-navigate my whole thing.
I need to be an Al-Anon.
Yeah. So like, I hope you make it. I fucking love you, but if you're gonna use me as a doormat, fuck off.
Yeah.
And that's the nice way to say it.
Yeah, it really is, and that's what I say to my guys. Like, it's because it's about getting honest. I don't fucking care if a sponsee relapse all the time. Just get honest. Yeah. I tell my guys, call me right before you get loaded. Yeah, just fucking call, bro.
And that would be ideal if they did. But here's the thing: once I fucking know I'm getting loaded, I'm not gonna let you talk me out of it.
Hell no.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'll let you come pick me up.
And and it's funny because I'd say that in early meetings, like, why the fuck am I gonna let you talk me out of it?
Right?
And I'd think that I was witty. And
profound.
You guys got this fucked up.
You
should listen to me.
Exactly. And that's the thing too about sponsorship. You and everybody that we run around with, like, I haven't had start sponsoring 10.5 years ago, and in those 10.5 years, I've never had to have a sponsor tell me, you need to go get a sponsee. Yeah. I just sponsor dudes.
Yeah, me too.
Not accountable. I know you do, and everybody we run around with, we sponsor dudes.
Right. It's just a part of life.
It's what we do. But I get confused often. Sponsoring keeps me sober. Yeah. I confuse it thinking I'm getting motherfuckers sober.
Yeah, me too.
But you know what I mean? It keeps me sober.
Right. It keeps me sober, and
if they get loaded or not.
And it keeps my ego in check to a certain degree enough, right?
Yes.
That I stay sober.
Right.
That I try to do the right thing.
Right.
That my life is good.
Yes.
Right. But you know, I may be more spiritual today than I am tomorrow.
Me too. Right.
I may be more spiritual today than I am a year from now, even. Mm-hmm. But what am I doing in that moment? Because that's what's been working.
Right.
So keep doing that shit.
Right, and I like it when you're talking about character defects actually getting you sober. Like, you know, the guy's getting high, calling him pieces of shit, and not going over to ask to get high, even though you wanted to. But it's like, I've not, in 10.5 years, like, sit down and do a sexual ideal with a guy, talk about his sex life, put together a relationship ideal. This is, and get done and then go over to strip club for 2 hours. And hang out in strip club sober, drinking fucking soda.
Yeah.
You know, like
or get on Grindr. Wait a minute.
That counts?
Are we recording? We're still recording? I was just kidding. That was a joke.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's just so powerful about sponsoring, because nobody tells you to go sponsor guys.
Yeah.
Nobody tells me to go sponsor. Nobody tells you to chair the Sunday meeting that you chair every Sunday at Crossroads at 12:30.
Almost 2 years now.
Man.
About 2 years.
You've been holding that down.
It's a good meeting.
It's a great meeting, and it's a great meeting that you chair it, because everybody is on federal pretrial release over there.
Yeah.
And and you control that meeting. They don't run that meeting, you do.
I know, but I sometimes I tell myself that too much also. Right? So like so again, my ego gets involved, and then I get offended if people aren't acting the way I want them to.
Or talking in the meeting.
We had a dude just recently, first share of the meeting, and he gets up and he goes, I just want to say something. He's standing up too, right? Like, and he's like,
always a bad
no
sign.
Disrespect to anybody up there. And I'm thinking, I'm like, okay.
What, you and the other guys on the panel, right?
And I'm like, okay. So I kind of like immediately was like, okay, no matter what the fuck he says, just be cool, fucking be calm.
Right, be calm.
Yeah, like maybe try to, respond rationally or whatever. Diffuse it. And he's like, every fucking time, every fucking meeting, I come to these meetings, dude, I'll be having a great day. It'll be a good day, and I'm not thinking about getting high at all. And then I come to these meetings, and you talk about the same old shit, and then I feel like getting high. And so, dude, I gotta go outside and smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, brother, dude, if you need to go smoke a cigarette, go ahead. Go do that. Yeah. Because you're interrupting my fucking meeting. You know what I mean? I didn't say that, but But I've gotten decent at that, dude. Like,
well, that's
not being offended. And if you give me a pre-warning that I may get offended, then it's even better. Because then I won't.
Yeah. I don't want to fucking show out.
But I'm still a reactor a lot of times.
Me too, bro. Because in that situation, off the rip, my reaction is shut the fuck up and get out of here, bro.
Yeah, me too.
Because I know that's what you want to say. Because that's what I want to say.
Yeah.
But we don't do that.
Dude, this voice isn't much louder than this one all the time anymore, and that's what.
Yeah, I know.
This one,
the voice of reason.
This one's gotten a little
kindness,
louder. Yeah.
The
it's
kindness,
like those old cartoons where the devil Daffy Duck and then the angel Daffy Duck. Yeah. Right, and the devil Daffy Duck stabs him with a pitchfork, and he poofs into smoke. And it's a very good parable.
It really is.
Yeah, and the angel Daffy Duck or Daffy Lost is just a tiny bit louder today. Really, and that's all it is. And hopefully it'll continue like that. Yeah. But life is pretty good.
Yeah, life's amazing. You got your own company now.
Yeah.
Electrician.
And that was a 5-year goal list. When you're getting out of prison, you do reentry class. Mm-hmm. And my reentry class, 1 year goal, 5 year goal, 10 year goal, right? And I've accomplished all of them, and I accomplished the 5 year in 4 years.
How long have you been out of prison now?
4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, well, February was 4 years, so 4.5 years now. Yeah.
I must have met you right after you got out.
Right after I got out.
Where did we meet? Stag?
I didn't even have a ride yet.
Do you remember where we met?
Well, you were sponsoring Rodney, and I went to Maui, and I went to...
Oh, yeah, work with him. Yeah.
And then I came to your other house on Willow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you and your wife were talking about.
Yeah.
That was the first time.
Poker game or
no,
work?
just work. We did some work.
Yeah, that's
studio.
right. You did. That's right. I forgot. Wow.
And then you drove me to MRC one time.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would see you.
To see your PO.
Yeah.
That's right.
He wasn't happy.
Yeah.
But I made him happy, and I continued to make him happy.
Yeah.
And
you off parole?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had to.
So only time parole was a breeze for me ever.
Sober.
Ever.
Right.
And that's why, because just who'd have fucking known that if you do the right thing, that your PO's happy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Me, Jason, and Sarah's over here last week. We were sitting there talking. And he's like, I'm still on fucking parole. I was like, you are? He's like, yeah, another year.
He probably doesn't even know.
Yeah.
Because you don't think about it if you ain't doing nothing wrong.
Right, yeah.
Right? You're not really thinking about parole.
Or pissing in a cup. Like, it's like...
Yeah. I know a lot of dudes who've been doing the right thing since they got out, and they maybe had to drop 1 UA.
Yeah, I know, because if you're
But if you're getting high, then you have to go twice a week.
Yeah,
you know
right.
I mean,
almost everybody that I know that's on probation, parole, or whatever, that's sober, every one of them, they're like, they go in once a month. Like, it's nuts. Like, once the PO sees, like, they're sober and doing the deal, everyone gets off early.
Because they're not stupid either. They know.
And they want people to succeed. That's what Jason was talking about. It's like, PO's not your fucking enemy.
No, it's not. It's just, really,
if you're doing the right shit.
It's just his job, and he's a human. So you catch him on a bad day and then make it worse, then you get
it's not gonna be
messed
good.
with. But if you go in there with some humility and you're clearly trying to do the right thing, they know that too, and they appreciate it.
They really
Less
do.
paperwork for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, in all of life, really, that's what it is. Cops, judges, prosecutors. I don't know about politicians, but
yeah.
Cops. We'll just say we'll stick with cops.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, I want to ask you: Do you remember? Do you remember when you realized that you were actually sober? Like some event where you're like, "Man, I'm fucking sober."
Well, I usually talk about it when I do the speaker deal. Really, I guess where I really knew or realized was after that first 90 days of kind of white knuckling, right? Like thinking about it at least a few times a day. At least the thought would run through my head, if not turn into an obsession.
Of getting high?
Yeah. Or I'd
thinking about getting high.
I still knew everybody on the yard that was, players.
Who had dope.
And so I know when dope hit.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious too. People are running back and forth all over the place, taking store over to here, and you know who's who. So you know which dudes have, 2 bags of coffee and a pouch in their hand. That equals $10, and you know what they're doing. And so it was like every day I was white knuckling. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. No, I was following directions, that good orderly direction. And
meeting every day.
There's 4 a week, but I was going to every meeting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy because one of them overlapped America's Got Talent.
Oh yeah.
And that was that was my show.
Yeah.
My shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good, and when you're newly off dope, you start having these feelings.
Yes,
and you're
you
just
do.
Like,
yeah.
what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a feeling.
Yeah, right, yeah. What's this thing?
Yeah.
Am I sweating out of my eyes?
Blood?
That's clear blood coming out of my eyes. It's weird. What are these things? They're salty.
And and then one day, it was store day. It was about 90 days, somewhere around then, and I'd seen a bunch of dudes running around, and I knew dope had hit, plus it's store day. And I was just like, holy shit, I haven't thought about getting high in a few days. And it was just a crazy feeling.
It's profound.
Dude, it was like...
It's a profound
it's a sense
experience.
of relief, dude, that's like, you can't really describe it. Because you're just like, dude, I might be okay.
Yeah, I know. Everybody who gets sober has that moment of like,
Yeah.
it's been a couple of days since I thought about getting loaded.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That was the first time. Really.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
profound.
and when I talk about it or share about it, that was my first spiritual experience that I can relate to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you look back on it, I had a bunch when I look back on it,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them weren't happy spiritual experiences. The gift of desperation.
Oh,
is
yeah,
a
that's a
spiritual,
sucky one.
Yeah, but it's a spiritual experience.
It is, yeah.
But that was the first one that I thought, damn it, it's a fucking spiritual experience.
A good one.
And then, I'd watch the sunset. Me and Brian Houlihan would always watch the sunset consistently, and I'd feel that every time.
Yeah, with the sunset. Yeah,
Every time,
yeah.
dude. And so I started making that
In
a thing.
prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because the sun would set right behind razor wire in the fence. So it was the most beautiful picture ever. The sunset and then razor wire.
Oh, yeah,
right
yeah,
in front
yeah,
of me. Yeah. And I always thought, imprint that shit on my mind.
Yeah.
Because that's badass. Can't take a picture. Probably
Yeah.
could have. Jason had a phone for a while. I could have probably went and got it and took a picture. But yeah, it was dude, like when you're sober, when you know that you're sober. Well, how else do you describe it? But that's God. How else?
Yeah.
And you,
Yeah.
and that's sometimes that's good enough. Like
Mm-hmm.
miracle, God.
Yeah.
I still sometimes get resistant when I hear these words. Still. to
Yeah, I
this
do
day.
too. God,
You know what I mean?
I still get.
It's like, and really it's because your conception, your understanding of God is not the same as mine, and mine's probably better than yours, more real than yours. So take yours, God, over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Leave me with my guy.
Yeah, but it's the same thing.
It is.
It's absolutely the same thing
It
for
is.
everybody, right? It's just like, again, I might not be as spiritual tomorrow as I am today. Well, also my conception or understanding or experience of God might not be as grounded today as it is tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that fluctuates.
Yeah,
also.
it does.
Yeah, it's
It
just
does.
what mind space am I in today?
Yeah.
But what am I doing to be in the mind space that where I feel connected?
Yeah, gratitude. I
Yeah,
love
because really that is the feeling.
It really is.
Gratitude,
It
yeah,
is.
you know?
And that's the thing. An old timer in Cooper. I'll edit
bring
this
him on
out.
in.
What time is it?
No, don't edit it out. Cooper, come here.
Come on in, Coops.
Cooper, it's 2:56.
Oh, come here. Come here. Yeah,
Coops.
I'm gonna pick you up. We're gonna
Yeah.
wrap up the show here. I want to ask a couple more questions.
Come here, Bobby.
Yeah.
Like your baby, dude.
Oh, he's got a sticker. He always comes like. Oh, he doesn't like being.
Oh, he
petted.
licked me.
Yeah, he gets nervous when I'm holding something. He'll fall asleep us talking.
Really?
Yeah. He always does this when I'm out here talking to
That's
somebody.
funny.
But there's an old timer that used to come to the Stag. He passed away during COVID. Augie. Yeah, and he would say, as long as I stay grateful, it's highly unlikely I'll ever get loaded again.
Yeah.
Such a profound
Really, it
truth.
is. Yeah. And
it's
simple, again.
Yes.
The most profound shit is really simple statements.
I know.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, just, recovery's all these one-liners and stuff, and it's just incredible to me about, like, being lost and being found. I mean, that's kind of tenfold for you.
Yeah.
But like, I know the experience of being found. It's the fucking weirdest.
Yeah.
The world's exactly the same, but my perspective changed.
Yeah, it's a paradigm shift.
It really is.
It's a different reality. It's just a different reality.
And I love how Sarah always says, like, and I no longer want to change the way I feel.
Yeah.
Which is profound for dudes like us.
Yeah.
I have people that watch this that aren't in recovery, family and friends.
Yeah.
And definitely who have not fucking done prison or jail time.
Yeah.
I want to have you explain before we wrap up, like, store and what the whole fucking thing with store is.
So, when you run a store, well, I guess a side note is there are certain yards, and it used to be that if you ran a store, you had to pay a percentage of your earnings to the guy of your race running the yard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that would get kicked upstairs to the guys running the state, basically, you'd say, or whatever yard was their yard. But they were always in SMU or Browning unit, because they're not allowed out of their cells, really, except to be put in another cage to see just the sky with a grate over it. But which got to be a shitty way to live, dude.
Oh, dude.
But
I couldn't imagine.
So you decide you want to run a store. You buy a bunch of store off the commissary store.
Food.
Right? Food, cigarettes, coffee, just
everything you can get from the commissary.
And then somebody comes, and if they want a honey bun, you give it to them, but they owe you 35% tax back.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's $1, they owe you $1.35.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And technically it's against the rules. It's illegal, really, on the yard to do that, but the cops overlook that. Administration overlooks it, unless it becomes a problem. Like if people are PCing up or checking in, going up to the cops and saying my life's in danger because I owe this store a bunch of money. If the cops keep hearing that, then they can come fuck with you, take your store, or give you a ticket for trading and bartering, extortion. They can make stick whatever they want, but it's for the most part, the cops they let it happen because it's better than the alternative, right? It keeps people happy to some degree. If I don't have money all the time, or I run out of something before commissary comes, then I can go get a bag of coffee or a pouch of tobacco or whatever.
Right,
but I owe them, the tax.
Right.
And if I don't pay the tax, then you're not paying your debts.
Right.
Which can
run into problems.
You can run into problems.
Yeah, big problems.
Yeah. Well, what people will do, though, is they'll run up a bunch of dope debt and then a little bit of store debt, and then they'll go check in, and then they'll tell that they owe stores, because they don't want to tell the cops they owe a bunch of dope debt. Right? But the cops know.
Yeah.
Again, they're not stupid.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, they'll go roll your shit up and then give it to half the fucking yard on the way to property anyway. Because the cops think you're a piece of shit too.
Yeah.
They think everybody's a piece of shit, though. You know what I mean? But
one of the last things I want to kind of touch on is when I was taking the first time I ever got badged and started taking meetings into the prisons. I was going to Lewis prison. With like these 90-year-old women from Sun City. Everyone, they were like sober 40, 50 years.
Oh, that's tight.
They're all retired and stuff, and
going into the prisons.
Taking AA meetings in there, and so, but going out to Lewis prison, we went to Barchi. And is that protective custody?
It is now. Okay. I mean, most of the yards that are protective custody have at one point been GP.
General population,
So they fluctuate.
So I think when we were going to Barchi, there was general population on one side, but the other side was protective custody.
They do that shit too,
Yeah, and so, anyways, we were taking meetings out there, and the problem that they were running into was that word got out on the yard that people were snitching in the AA meetings.
Oh, yeah.
And so like, dudes wouldn't come to the AA meeting. Because, word on the yard is that's where all the fucking snitches are. And so, like, it's a fucking miracle any of us get sober, in prison, on streets. Like, there are so many potholes and cliffs on the way to getting sober, dude.
Dude,
like,
again, too, if
women, relationships, fucking...
if you're fucking up and trying to pull some shenanigans and all this shit anyway, then you think everybody's snitching on you. You already think that. And I'd like to, disclaimer that if you're a PC case, I don't think you're a piece of shit. Okay. It's an institutionalization thing, right? Like, we ain't gotta live like that no more.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah. It's
Don't snitch on me. Don't call the cops.
I get so many.
I love you all.
I get so many sponsees, at fucking Crossroads or whatever sober living they're at, treatment, and talking to me about, because there's drugs in rehab, there's fucking drugs everywhere.
People die. It wasn't that long ago at Crossroads, right? Arcadia fucking died.
They're dying all over. Rehab all the time. And so, like, my sponsees come to me a lot about, like, I don't want to be a snitch, but my fucking roommate's got fucking fentanyl and all this. And
I know.
And I'm like, dude, when I got sober, I was a snitching motherfucker. I told on my buddy who was drunk, like, you bring dope or alcohol around me.
Bob called my mom was a DOC officer, motherfucker.
So it's just funny. I mean, I understand, like, in prison and culture, like, I mean, it can get you fucking killed or stomped.
And it's a weird one. It's just a weird one, dude, because, like, I still have, to me, dude, I still think some people should mind their own business, but I think also, like, your own life is your business, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's just a hard one. There's a fucking, it's a slippery slope for me. But I try not to judge people when. Again, like when I went to my first sponsor and told him, like, dude, I feel like beating this motherfucker's ass.
Getting high and.
I thought fucking in my head, man, I should just fucking write an anonymous kite and throw that motherfucker in the mailbox and then.
Yeah, right.
Come search this motherfucker.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Like, the thought had crossed my mind.
Sure.
But it's like. If you just do you and focus on yourself, it will all work out anyway. It will work itself out. So you don't really have to go tell. But, dude, if it's that toxic and you think that you're in that much danger, fucking go tell then. Like, who the fuck am I to judge you for that? It's your life we're talking about, right?
Yeah, and this is.
But I go back and forth with it. Like,
with your guys in rehab?
Just in my head.
Oh yeah, because
don't be a fucking snitch.
Yeah.
But you gotta save your life. Don't
be
a snitch. You gotta save your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, I'm not telling on anybody.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
I tell my fucking sponsees, because so many guys are on fucking parole and shit, and pre-trial release, all this shit, and like, I tell my guys, like, in recovery, there are no secrets around relapse.
That's true.
There's no secrets around. You're in a drug rehab and dude's got fucking drugs. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone's gonna know anyway.
Right, and the guy's gonna get caught anyways too.
That's right.
And I don't just tell my guys, like, just run straight up and fucking and narc them out to the
staff.
Yeah, but it's.
But the integrity of the institution has to be protected too, right? Like some of those dudes, you could take a whole bunch of motherfuckers out by bringing dope into the.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely, literally.
But it's like I don't know, man. It's
Well, that's a cool thing about Crossroads too, because you fucking narc somebody out at Crossroads for having dope, and they get honest about it, they let them stay.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean, or any solid program.
And if you're gonna. Why the fuck are you in treatment if you're going to get high in treatment anyway, man?
Right, and bring dope in, and risk these motherfuckers' lives anyways.
Because you are risking someone's life. Yeah, just get the fuck out.
But that's the thing, too. I mean, so many people are in recovery, trying not to go back to prison, trying not to go to prison or go back.
Yeah,
and
that's true, too.
And it's an interesting thing, because in the beginning of AA, you couldn't just come in, like, you had got sponsored in.
Yeah.
And, like, you'd sit in front of Bill Wilson and in the first 100, and they'd ask you all these questions, and then they'd tell you if you're ready. And if you're ready, then you go to the hospital, and then if you bounced, your sponsor paid your hospital bill, but while you're in the hospital, everybody came up to the hospital and gave their pitch to you.
What?
Yeah, I'll give you this book called Not God.
Yeah.
That breaks down how AA got started.
Oh, dude,
fucking
yeah.
fire.
Please do, dude.
And so in the beginning, the reason why sobriety rates were so high is because they ran it that way. You couldn't just, and so you had to be through all your steps before you could come to the main meeting.
Yeah.
And so like Back to Basics was basically, that was the newcomer meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And you got through all your steps.
Yeah.
And then you could come to the big meeting.
You had to have a fucking certain degree of willingness to get through all that, right?
Fuck. Yeah.
I don't know if that would work today.
No, and I'm glad it didn't, because I relapsed for 5 years.
Yeah.
And like, and recovery welcomed me back, relapse after relapse, jail sentence after jail sentence.
Yeah, super interesting. But regardless, it brought us here to where we are today. So it was. You can't say if it was right or wrong, because it just was. It's the way it was, and it fucking worked out. Right? Because AA is what it is today, and that's where it came from. So how was that wrong?
Yeah.
And how is this wrong? Like, it's working for enough people, dude. The success rate around 12-step recovery is higher than any other kind of recovery.
And that I know of.
Either, dude. Yeah.
I mean.
And that might be just because that's who I'm exposed to mostly, but I don't think that's the only thing. I don't think that's the only reason.
Yeah.
But I do believe that it'll work for you 100% of the time if you work it 100%.
Yeah.
I do.
Because what it boils down to is it's a program of rigorous honesty.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for being here, bro. I love you.
Thanks for having me.
I got to jump up and give you a hug.
Yeah, let's have me again, man.
Yeah, I will.
Maybe you can get me and Jermoth. I love you too.
From all these drugs and apologies, handcuffed ain't enough for me, and I run an endless losing streak. Bad luck seems to follow me.